while we're talking about humidity control too, there's a school of thought right now that is if we can go ahead and run our load calc and we're looking at how many BTUs of sensible, how many BTUs of latent we need to do. How about if we just decouple the latent side completely, have our HVAC run sensible? So whatever BTU that sensible is, that we'd be able to possibly lower our capacity a little bit, unless we're getting too low and we don't have the airflow. But let's just go ahead and for this exercise, decouple the latent, let our equipment do the sensible, so we can run a little bit higher airflow, right? Because we're doing sensible, and then you use supplemental dehumidification to take care of the latent side of the system. And so there are some guys out there doing this, and I think they're having some pretty good success. I personally haven't been able to do it and run the numbers and test, and then I think Tim DeStasio's done some of that stuff, and he was looking at doing reheat for his dehumidification, and he was finding that was getting a little heavy on energy usage, and so I think he threw that one out. But until you start putting numbers and data to this stuff, you just don't know.
That's right. And we've had this discussion on this show several times. What if you split apart and do a separate dehumidification system and then do your regular HVAC system? Not to totally separate them, because, your HVAC is going to dehumidify some no matter what sometimes, especially here. But having two separate points of control instead of trying to juggle humidity, relative humidity with sensible temperature does seem advantageous. I don't know where it comes out energy-wise. I can't imagine it's going to be the best for energy, but it seems like having a separate dehumidifier, a whole house dehumidifier, will allow you to at least control things from two different angles, and that seems like a positive.
So yes, that's a great question, and I'm sure there's some studies out there that have looked at that, the cost of ownership on just energy on running a separate dehum. But depending on what area you're in, how many days of the year are you going to have to run that? But having your system be able to run a little higher fan speed, because that's what speeding up and slowing down fan speeds will drastically affect that latent side. And so being able to having a real smooth refrigeration cycle, right? Not having a coil that is as wet, right? It's gonna pull some moisture, but the dehum doing the heavy lifting, it could almost balance out.
I think so. I think it'd be, I haven't read the studies on it either, but just in theory, you could run a higher CFM. You could run a steady CFM and compare that with, when it cycles on and off, the humidifier still addressing the latent load. Seems like a pretty good idea. None of us have ever tried that. We've been talking about it for like 5 years. And we've talked on and off. It's like you have a high efficiency air conditioner that they've people assign some of that latent control to it, even though it's handicapped naturally by the sensible set point. So you're going to make it 64 inside? Sure, it's not as humid now because we ran the AC down, so you can never find a happy point, especially here, because the humidity is such an issue. So, it's a problem here. My Floridian friends and I talk about it. So other parts of the country, you could ramp it up to 22, over 400 CFM per ton, because who cares? Because it's all sensible cooling. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.